Maybe
I want
start
to
again.
restart. Yes, I'm starting another one. Okay, now we're live. I hope the stream is now live and the network is good. Oh, yes, we are live. Yes. All right. Okay, let's see this. Yes, we are live. Amazing, amazing. Okay, guys. I'm happy that this has finally come to be. You know, there's something about attempting to do something and you actually get it done. And that's the joy, the joy I derive in this right now because we've been looking at how to get this stream up and finally we got it through. Believe me, it is so exciting. So tonight I just want to thank you all for all the support that you've shown us, from when we started this table of men. It's been more than about 2 years now when we started table of men, and I had this challenge along the way, and here we have moved over to YouTube. This is perhaps one of the most rewarding experiences that there is, that you can actually come up to say, I want to do this, and it gets done. I mean, there's no telling how amazing this is. So just want to welcome you guys to the new era of Table of Men. It is perhaps going to be our most exciting time together. Trust me, we're going to have so much fabulous experiences together. Tonight, on this first edition of Table of Men on YouTube, yes, we want to talk about bullies. I mean, if you're live here, I want to see your comments. I want to see your expressions in the comment section. You want to give an emoji, a thumbs up, a like, whatever it is. Just keep it coming. Just keep it coming. I need to know that you are there. I need to know you are there. I really, 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 really need to know that you are there. So let me know that you're there. Let me know you're watching. Let me know you are live and involved tonight. So let me see you. Let me see what you've got for me. You want to say hello? You want to say hi? You want to give a thumbs up? Tonight it's all about Table of Men, the return of Table of Men relaunching, Table of Men relaunching, and it's so exciting for us. Okay, let me see who have we got. Who do we have on the road tonight? Who do we have on the road tonight? Anybody? Anybody? Somebody? Okay. Who's here with us? Who's here? Um, Somebody giving a thumbs up. Somebody giving an emoji. I just need to know somebody is here. Someone is around here. Yeah, that someone is right here with us. Who's there? Anybody? Anyone? Anyone? Who is there with us? Okay, let me see. If nobody's there, me, I'm here. Oh. I'm here. I'm right here. Yes, I'm right here. I'm right here. Yes, okay. Aha. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. Yes. Okay. We're gonna see how this is going. Okay. We're moving it. So it seems like everything is really on point. Everything is on course. So let's get into the conversation. This is don't mind our setup. Our setup is we're still trying to bring it up speed, but you can be sure that in due season, as we evolve, it will get better, right? So for tonight, let's just talk about bullying. I remember when I was in secondary school, there were some boys I mean, I went to an only boys school, and there were some boys who were, of course, obviously bigger than I was, and they were scary. Some of them were my classmates, like same class, not like same arm, but the same class. So like I was in GS2, they were also in GSS2, and you know, they just had this big look. You know, they were you couldn't talk to them anyhow. You dared not disrespect them. I mean, these were the kind of boys that would even treat you like they would like it's like a junior boy would treat you. You know, and I remember very well one called Anyaoji. I mean, this is not a spite on him. You know, he's my guy. And I remember very well that I used to be so afraid of him. I used to be so afraid of him. And there's one too of blessed memory, Mike Ofuebu. Mike became the school prefect when we were in SS3. But Mike used to bully his mates, like he used to bully us, his mates. It was as though it was as though like we were, Mike would look at a student, his classmate, and Mike would be telling me, or telling a classmate of his, go and fetch me a bucket of water. It was that bad. And so when you look at how bullying, the tide that bullying turned, while we were in school, it was a really bad one. I mean, I read a comment on X, I mean on Twitter, Instagram today, from somebody who mentioned that he or she still saw one of her bullies, somewhere at a filling station, and the person even walked up to him or her and asked him or her if the person remembers them. And the person said she just walked away. Like he or she just walked away and just didn't, mind the person. But the pain is still real. There are so many people who today still live with the scars, the pain of the experience that they had, from bullies, when they were in school. And I must tell you that bullying is not something that is palatable. There are about three angles to this. The first angle is for the person that was bullied. The second angle is for the person that is the bully themselves. And then the third angle is to parents. Parents who send their children to school, especially to boarding house, where they can be bullied. I dare say that parents, if you must send your children to a before I get there, let us begin with the person that was bullied, because this is actually the perhaps the most important part. This is the part that begs for a lot of questions. This is the part that everybody perhaps has a stake. Everyone is kind of involved, in this side of things. My brothers in the Lord, and men and women, everybody, wherever you are, let me say this. Bullying comes with a cost, particularly to the person who is bullied. And we all must recognize and appreciate that this cost is very, 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 very expensive. It's difficult for a lot of people to bear that cost. The cost comes in low self-esteem. The cost comes in inability to build one's confidence. The cost comes in loss of opportunities, because a person has been, and what bullying does is that it suppresses a person's confidence, self-confidence, self-esteem. And when a person's self-esteem, self-confidence has been suppressed, you can as well bet what's going to come next. The person begins to hide. The person is always in the shadows. The person is always in the background, and you cannot always be in the background and expect to have opportunities, the best of opportunities come to you. There's absolutely no way that's going to happen. Absolutely no way that's going to happen. So we must come to realize and understand that bullying has a cost, a very hefty cost at that. Many people never recover. In fact, the trauma from bullying literally, goes with people all the way to their future, even into marriage. Imagine a woman a young girl who was bullied in school, because we also have female bullies. And this is not just about males, we have female bullies. I remember my wife telling me a story about a bully that she encountered when she was in school. The girl was always, taunting her, bullying her emotionally and verbally, abusing her. And one day she said she couldn't take it anymore. And so she had made up her mind that whatever happens is what's going to happen. If it was going to be a case of we die here, if I perish, I perish. That kind of thing. Yeah. So it was a case of if I perish, I perish. If I die, I die. And so she said she waited for the person outside school, after school, and then when they got outside, the girl, was still running her mouth as usual. And then when they walked a bit of a distance from school, she grabbed the girl and she beat the hell out of this girl. That's the beating was, and there were other students. And when you go to a public school where there are so many people, when school closes for the day, everybody, goes out in groups. You could have about 40, 50 students going out together at the same time. And so when they left the school, this girl did not know what was coming. And so she faced the meat in a very, 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 very bad way. I mean, she said she beat this girl up. She really, really, really beat her. The beating was intense, really intense. So that after she finished beating her, the girl cried, was injured, and went home. And of course, she was expecting that the girl would go and report her in school the next day. And of course, that when, hey, Kevin, you're welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah. And so when she got to school the next day, she was expecting that she was going to be called by teachers, and that she was going to be reprimanded and disciplined and what have you. But instead, that did not happen. The girl did not report. The girl told everybody a lie, that she fell or something happened, and that's how she got the bruises that she had, the injury she had, blah, 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 blah. Long story short, by the time everybody in school got to school the next day, they went telling the story of what happened on the road. And once that story leaked, the bully became powerless. And that's how my wife got out of that. And once she confronted the bully, every other person confronted her and she lost her power. The bully lost her power. It wasn't even like this bully was big, from what I hear. She was just, that girl that had built up this let's say camaraderie or something, this pump about her, such that if any student was coming around her, they just had this fear, that this girl was going to do them dirty or something like that. And that was how this bullying episode ended for her. So imagine a girl who was bullied in school and then left school, never gained her confidence, went into the workplace, becomes the object of ridicule, becomes the object of bullying. Even in the workplace, that there are workplace bullies, right? Yes, there are workplace bullies. And so when such a person gets bullied from school, and then it transcends into other areas of life, going all the way into the workplace and even into marriage, chances are that such a person will be bullied even in marriage by their spouse, because they have been used to being bullied. And this thing is self-fulfilling prophecy. You sort of attract that thing because it's what you are. That is who you are. You are now the bullied, in quotes, because you have lived this reality for many years on end. And what do you expect? You're going to naturally attract the people who will bully you, particularly in marriage. So there are many people today who are locked up, being bullied by their spouses. But it began with a bully when in school, in high school, in college, or even in elementary school. That's primary school, if you're putting it in Nigeria, in Nigeria's context. So bullying comes with a cost. I just want to, I want to state that bullying comes with a cost. It comes with a huge cost, a real cost. And we must be mindful of that. We have to be mindful of the fact that bullying comes with a cost, and we cannot afford to treat bullying like, just another episode, or just something that, oh, the person will grow out of it. People don't actually really grow out of bullying. No, if the source of bullying does not end, bullying continues. Yes, it continues, and it continues for a long time to come. So I want to establish here that um, bullying is a huge deal breaker, right? It's a huge deal breaker for a lot of people, and we as fathers must be very, very, very mindful. You must be observant when your child returns from school, and it turns out that they have been they've been dealing with a bully, like they've been subjected to bullying. You cannot afford to allow your child to go through the rigors of being bullied in school or elsewhere, and you just let it slide. No, it can't be. It can't be. You have to. I mean, as a man, you have to be intentional. You have to really, really be intentional about how you allow this bullying thing happen. You have to be very intentional. You have to be very, very intentional about this bullying thing, because this is not something that will just end. It's not going to go away by itself. It's not going to go away by itself. So the first part of this is the fact that when a person is bullied, they do not get over it. Many people live with the costs of bullying all their lives. They lose opportunities. Some of them where they should have been promoted, or where they should have shown courage and grit, particularly in life when they need to take risks. They don't take those risks because their self-confidence, part of them that should propel them to take risk, that part of them has been suppressed by an experience of bullying. That should never be. We shouldn't allow this to go on. There are so many people in life today who still live with the trauma, the pain, the emotional, the emotional bondage of bullying has stayed with them. I read a comment on Instagram today. I mean, this particular comment was really touching to me. Like, this person said, let me get to it, because there are these things that we need to clearly remind ourselves of. We need to clearly identify that these things are not things that they're not things that just happen. They're not things that just happen. Okay, let me get that comment right. Someone said, excuse me. Someone said to this day, there are some seniors I haven't forgiven. What happened back then really affected me. When I see them, I don't even bother saying hello. One approached me recently at the airport and asked if I remembered them. I said no and walked off. The trauma hasn't gone away. This is a live experience shared by somebody on Instagram, right? There's one that I read. Aha, this guy said, I attended King's College. I mean, I went to King's College too. So I attended King's College and I had my fair share of whooping from seniors. But the one that stood out for me was a prefect, named the person. The guy flogged me with 501 belt. I remember that belt. That belt is strong. That belt is hard. He flogged me 501 belt. If you know, until it's cut into bits. If you know 501 belt, in those days, you'll understand what I meant. He later repeated and became my classmate a year later and couldn't stare me in the face. LOL, the circle of life. I am glad I forgave him because he's late now, but I'll never forget because the whooping was so unexpected and unprovoked. I was too shocked to shed a tear. Another person said my elder sister refused to join her old class association because of one boy who had once ruined school for her. As she spoke, she described how he beat her every day and spread cruel, false rumors about her. Even at age 43, the pain was still visible in her eyes. Time had passed, but the wounds had not healed. She never forgave him, not even after his death. When the news came, my sister's reaction was simple and cold. Simple and cold indifference. So you see how bullying affects people. This is crazy. Like this is I can't even begin to imagine what several people are going through in their lives today just because of bullying. Because somebody bullied them when they were in high school, when they were in secondary school, when they were in elementary school, or even in the university. Guys, we need to do better. Well, we need to do better. I mean, I don't know, but it may even be safe to say that issues of rape have something to do with bullying. It's just that that's another level, another degree, right? See, bullying is a huge deal, and the cost is tremendous for many people. Many people never talk about this, for much of their lives. But please, if you're here on call, on at the Table of Men live this evening, and you've had an experience of bullying at some point in time, and you wish to share, please, I'm happy to read your comments. Please, just post in the comments. Let's see what's you. Let me see if you have been bullied in the past, and you wish to share your experience. Please, let us hear about it. And the big part of this is that when you create an outlet for these experiences, that's when your healing journey actually begins. That's when your healing journey actually begins. I mean, you cannot afford to remain in that state. You can't afford to remain in that state, where you have been bullied, for so long, and you just remain like that. You can't afford to remain in that state again. It's time for you to start healing. It's time for you to it's time for you to move beyond the experience, the pain. It's time for you to grow. It's time. So I'd like to see if anybody here has had some experiences with bullying at any point in time. Please feel free to share. I mean, I know that there are several people who will be happy to read your experiences, and perhaps also um, um, maybe also that could also provoke people to share their own experiences. But healing begins when you speak about it, and I really hope that many of us will be able to open up about our experiences with bullying. Maybe at some point in life, perhaps in the workplace. I know that so many of us would have had experiences of bullying in the workplace. Yes, workplace bullying. Let me even give an experience of mine. Not the very first job, but there was a job that I had, and my looking back, it was actually bullying. The CEO was a bully. Yeah, the CEO was a bully, a cold bully. Let me put it that way. She was a cold bully, and she had this thing of always talking down at us. You know, she would often act as though all of us are babies. Talk down at us. She would be trying to talk about history, and in her head, oh, men we were not born in those days. She was always looking for opportunity to put everybody else, to put as many as to put others beneath her. Let me just put it that way. Always looking for something, an opportunity to ride roughshod over over us. So whenever we're having village meetings, it was always there will always be those awkward moments where she just ridicules you for no special reason. One day, there was one time we had, I think, cultural day or something. It was Independence Day, so everybody, came. We came, in traditional attires to the office, and there was this guy, a Gen Z, and she looked at him. I mean, he had this nice dashiki made of ashoki, and then she looked at him and like, this your this your dress is very fine, though. I'm sure it was a mommy that made it for you. And I'm like, why would you make such a comment? Why would you make such a comment? That's a crass, insensitive comment. Why? I mean, an adult young male, and then you refer to him saying you are sure his mommy made the dress for him. Come on. He just laughed over it, but I can tell you that guy spent most of the time we had in that place um, feeling ridiculed, feeling less of himself at some point in time. At various points in time, he felt he was always less of himself. He was always not the way he should be, and that wasn't good. That was not good. It was not good at all, at all, at all, at all, at all. My own manager also bullied me. Yeah, but I stood up. I stood up to her. There was a part. There were two experiences that I had. Where I was verbally abused, verbally and emotionally abused by her, live in the office. And this particular one was even that. Okay, the first one, she called me after work hours. We closed at 5 p.m. and then she called me around 6 p.m. or something. Called me around 6 p.m. I didn't answer the call. And then following morning, I got to the office. I got to the office before her, or no, she got to the office before me, but I got in maybe about 5 minutes after her. And then not long after was she came out and then, stood me up and was, telling me straight in the face, why didn't you answer your call when I called you yesterday evening? I said, I was busy. I said, and then she was like, whenever I call you, you must pick the call. If you miss the call, you must call me back immediately. Is that understood? I looked at her like, eh? On top of my own phone that I bought with my hand, with my money, my own SIM card. You will see. That evening, 5:30 p.m., I was on my way home. She calls me again. I didn't answer the call. She called me several times. I didn't answer the call. And then I think that was a Friday. Next day was a weekend. And weekend, she sent me messages on WhatsApp. I ignored them. She called me. I ignored the call. Monday morning, she came. Yeah. You wow. Why didn't you answer your call? This, that. That's disrespectful. This, She went on and on. I stood and I was looking at her eyeball to eyeball. No expressions on my face. Nothing. Just a blank look. And my eyes were straight in her eyes. And when she finished, when I call you, you answer the phone. Is that understood? Yes, ma'am. It did not mean that same evening I was going to respond to her call, because I did not. And you know what? After a while, she stopped calling me after work hours. She stopped calling me on weekends. She stopped sending me messages on weekends. She stopped sending me messages before business hours. Unlike some, earlier that she'd call me at 7:45 a.m., 7:50 a.m. And I'm like, excuse me, the office resumes at 8 o'clock. Work starts at 8 o'clock. Why are you calling me at 7:50 a.m.? Anything between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m., call me 100 times, I will answer the call. But after work hours, it becomes my time. and I decide what I do with my time. I mean, these are life and real experiences that people go through. And a lot of people cannot even say a word. They can't stand up to it. I mean, it's that bad. There was another time that we were going to have an event, and then I went to the event venue. I can't remember what happened. I got back to the office, and then she was screaming on top of her voice that she lost it. She was screaming at me, you know. In fact, she was almost going to hit me. You know, she was screaming at me, you know, insulting me, calling me stupid, calling me mad, all kinds. I was fuming. My colleagues, you know, my other colleagues were, no, she didn't hit me. Almost hit me. Almost hit me. You know, my other colleagues were trying to calm me down. They were telling me, you know, and actually somebody had to come and stand in between us because, you know, she was getting close to me, and you know how this thing is now. You know, when she's putting her boobs, getting close to me in my face and shouting, and and somebody had to come in between to stand in between us, and I was like, this is a test of patience. If I do something, I will be the one that will be disciplined. I will be the one that will be condemned as the guilty one. It will be a case of I'm sure she would even call it sexual. It would have been termed sexual harassment. You know, I would have been the one in quotes that sexually harassed her or physically harassed her, physically assaulted her, and all of that. But do you know that nothing was done to her for all the verbal assault that she did? Nothing. In fact, the CEO was telling me to go and apologize to her. And that's why, I think that I did quite as much as I could to stand up to those experiences of bullying. I've had my fair share of this, you know. How? In the workplace. And there are workplace policies, HR policies that says that everybody is free, has a right to a conducive work atmosphere, free from physical assault and all form of harassment. But even in that same place, I was still subjected to bullying. Gender equality, right? Yeah. Gender equality, sexism. The CEO, being a female, asked me to go and apologize to her. In fact, mandated me to apologize to her. I had to, right? If I wanted to, like my colleague would say, except you have another job somewhere. I had to apologize to her. She never apologized. This person I'm talking about, we're good today. We're pals now. But in that moment, it was not funny. I got to know later, after I had resigned from that job, that she was also being bullied by the CEO. And she was simply transferring the aggression from the CEO to me. She's a lovable person, to be very honest, a very lovable person. But she had become a shadow of herself because she was also hurting from bullying. And that is the cost of bullying. I couldn't be productive. She couldn't, be her maximum self, her best self. I was not enjoying the job. Like every Sunday night becomes a moment of moodiness, a time of brooding and thinking, God, what's going to happen tomorrow? Which wahala is this lady going to come up with again? What stunt is she going to pull tomorrow now? Hi, God have mercy. How am I going to go through this tomorrow? I can't go into that place tomorrow and go and deal with this same issue again. I can't afford to. My brothers, bullying comes with a cost. It comes at a cost. The cost of your peace, the cost of your confidence, the cost of your esteem as a person. if you must get out of bullying, or if you must overcome the effects of bullying, the pain, you need to talk about it. I mean, guys, if there are ladies, joining us tonight, you need to speak up about it. Find that person. Find the person. Find the person on social media. Find them wherever they can be on social media. Find them. Find them. Just find them. Find them. Let them know. Send them a message. Send them a message. Send them. If you can call them, call them. Let them know this is what you did to me. At this particular period, this time, I didn't like it. And the reason I can even talk about this experience is because after I resigned, I sat in front of her and I told her the things she did. At that point in time, I had nothing to lose. She was no longer my boss. I told her to her face. I told her the things she did. I told her, how I felt about them, and she apologized. Finally, she finally apologized. Of course, I didn't go into all the details because there were too many things to talk about. But she apologized, and then she explained to me what she had been going through herself, how she had been treated. Whenever the CEO called her to her office, she was always palpitating. Her heart was always racing. She was always panting. It was always the only difference was that she was always trying to look calm. She was always trying to keep her cool, but she wasn't having it funny at all. The CEO was not. So technically speaking, this bullying thing was being passed down from the CEO, to her, and then she was also passing the same, to me. And it was that bad. For the first time, I think I kind of got to understand what she may have been going through, what she may have been experiencing at that point in time. And like they say, hurting people hurt other people. Hurting people hurt other people. Majority of the people who bully others have been bullied themselves. Somebody is bullying them. They learned it. Bullying is a learned behavior. It's not something that anybody brings from the womb. No, it's a learned behavior. Every bully learned bullying from somebody. And if the source of that orientation is not identified and busted, that person is also going to train other bullies, to be like them. I mean, there was a colleague of mine, sitting beside me, who was technically beginning to act the way my line manager was acting, especially in the moments when my line manager was maybe on leave or out of her office, and then she had to hand over to this lady, and then I mean, she wasn't looking good. She wasn't acting well. It was almost like whenever the baton was passed to her, she just becomes a completely different person. She becomes a completely different person, and you just wonder like, what's wrong with this one? In my mind, I'm like, what's wrong with this one? You that you sit beside me, you now want to start treating me like, come on, I won't take that. I won't take that. I didn't let her get into that element with me. I never did. But I can imagine what others had to deal with. So not everybody is able to confront bullies, but please, we must all agree that bullying is learned behavior, and we must stop it in its tracks. If you are not able to confront a bully, can you talk to somebody who can confront them? And let's put a stop to this, because somebody else is also learning how to bully from that person that is bullying you. Or somebody else was learning how to bully from the person that bullied you. And until we put a stop to this, I mean, my line manager had perhaps not encountered anybody who was going to stand up to her that way, the way I did. And I think it changed a lot for her, because she got to respect me as a person. She got to realize that I was an individual with my own mind, and I placed value on my own esteem. I wouldn't let anyone run roughshods over me. Even the CEO tried, direct with me, but I didn't allow it, man. Like, no, you're not going to do that. You won't. I'm not going to let you do that. I have a right to work in this place without being bullied. You are an employee just as I am, and nothing is going to put you in a place that is beyond me. No, 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 I won't. And I don't know, but that's about it for the bullied. And then for the bully, I made a point earlier that bullying is learned behavior. You learned bullying from somewhere. You learned it from somebody. Now you need to go and sit down and think back, trace this thing back to who bullied you. Who is the person that bullied you? And then when you figure out who that person is, you may want to reach out to that person. If you can't find that person, reach out to that person and let them know what their actions did to you. Then, afterwards, you now need to recondition yourself about bullying. It's bad behavior. It's actually bad behavior. It shows that you are not emotionally healthy yourself, that you have poor social skills, and you have to do something. You need to develop yourself. You need to grow. You need to grow. Bullying is not something that should be a part of anybody. Not at all. And I think it's something that you have to work out. If and once you begin to recondition your mind, then if you have bullied anybody, please go and meet them and apologize to them. Let them know you realize how wrong your actions were. Let them know you regret your actions. You didn't even realize what you were doing. You inadvertently learnt it by orientation from somebody, or you yourself were bullied by somebody, and it took a toll on you. It took a toll on you. It became a part of you. You regret it. Ask for their forgiveness, and then move on from there. Move forward from there. That's pretty much how I think you should handle bullying. Parents, we are the ones who are most responsible for the outcomes of bullying. Parents, you know your child. There are places that your child ordinarily should go to that your child will say they don't want to go. Please don't force them to go there. They say they don't want to go to school. Don't force them. You are serious. You don't want to study. That may not be the reason. Most of the time, that's not even the reason. Can you ask them to let you know why? Like, genuinely seek to find out why they do not want to go to that place. Genuinely seek to understand. Ask them questions. Why don't you want to go? Is there anything the matter? Is there anything? Bullying is a very valid reason for a child not to want to go to a particular place. Ask them why. Genuinely. Why don't you want to go? Is there something you are afraid of? Is there something you don't like about the place? Ask them. They will tell you. And when they tell you that there's a particular child that is bullying them, or there's a teacher that is bullying them, please ask them to let you know who that person is. And that is where you need to stand up, especially fathers. Stand up and confront whoever that person is. If it's a child, confront the school authorities about that child and demand to have the parents of that child present. And talk to the parents. Talk to the child in the presence of the parents. Let the child know the impact of bullying and how it affects themselves. Let their parents know the impact of bullying. Talk to the child. Talk to the school authorities. Don't let this thing go under the carpet. The moment a bully has been busted, has been confronted, especially by somebody who is stronger than them, it becomes more difficult for them to bully the person that they used to bully any longer, because they have confronted a stronger personality, or a stronger personality has confronted them, and they do not want to feel powerless any longer. So they avoid, you know, because their brain labels, attaches that person that they used to bully to they feeling powerless. And so they don't want to have that feeling of powerlessness any longer. So they avoid this person. And that's how bullying can effectively stop. I know that in Western climes, bullying is a very big issue. You know, where bullies like follow a child into the toilet, into the toilet, lock the door, and then beat the child up. I've seen clips on X, seen clips on Instagram, seen clips, very nasty clips. Parents, please don't just push your child out to school and then just leave them at it. No, please. Don't just do that. These children deserve to be protected. So confront the bullies. Confront them. Confront them. Confront their parents with these things. If you need to get law enforcement involved, please do. And if you need to move your child to another school, please do. But if you're already in that stage where your child is being bullied, then please you need to take action. But if you are not yet in that stage, I beg of you, parents, prepare your child for experiences of bullying. Teach your child to stand up for themselves. Teach your child to confront bullies. Train your child in self-defense. Train your child in self-defense. Your child comes home. I mean, even in as early as nursery school, children are bullied. I remember one time my son came back from school crying that some child in his class, did beat him, and he was crying. And then the school authorities, when what happened? Who is the child? The school authorities were like, that my son was he's too emotionally fragile. I said he's emotionally healthy. I mean, he can feel and he can express exactly how he feels. As a toddler at 2, he can express to say this particular child, beats me and all of that. And I'm like, he's healthy. That's why he can say it. He needs to learn to, to stand up. If a child beats him, he should be able to beat the child back. I'm not trying to teach my child how to be violent. But I said, but I hear you. And you know what I did? I told my child, when anybody in your class beats you, please go and report to the teacher. And then let me know what your teacher does. And then if the teacher does not do anything, go and report to the head of school. Go and report to the head of school. But when you get home, let me know. Tell me about it. And so every time anything like that happened, he followed the sequence. He reported to the class teacher. If the class teacher did nothing satisfactory, he reported to the head of school. And then when he gets home, he tells me about it. And so the next day, I go to the school and I confront the head of school myself. Madam, my son came home and said this and this and this and this. And that he reported to the teacher. And the teacher did not do anything about it. He reported to you. I don't know what steps you have taken, but I need this address and I want to see the child. If possible, please call the child's parents. I want them to be present when I'm talking to the child. Now, because the school authorities don't want an altercation between parents, they say, we're going to address it. Please don't be angry. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And I make sure that I do this in the presence of my child, because my child must remember me as the one who stands up to defend him whenever anybody rises up against him. And that's how... No, go and take the other one. Go and take the other one. Go and take the chocolate. Sorry. And so I did that in his presence. I had those conversations in his presence so that he can see that his father will not stand by and allow him watch him being bullied. Now, after that, I told him, if a person beats you the first time, you report to the teacher. If the person beats you a second time, report to the teacher. By the third time, if the person beats you, beat the person back. Because at some point, we must understand self-defense. We are not trying to raise vegetable children who will only cry and whine and sob and not be able to stand up and defend themselves. My dear, it's not going to happen. Not here. Not now. We don't do that here. We don't do that here. First hit, report. That is the right thing to do. Second hit, report. But by the third hit, because at some point, some children know that the teacher will not do anything other than to beat me, but I will still go back and go and beat that child again. But by the time they beat the child the third time and they get a harder hit, then it becomes, I remember after a while, when my child now started hitting back, maybe like after the second hit, the school authorities now started calling me to say, your child bullied somebody. I said, don't use that word bully because he did not bully. What happened exactly? Can you tell me exactly what happened? Like, did he just look at the child, the other child in question, and just went to start beating the child up? Did you investigate to find out exactly what happened? So tell me exactly what happened. Because my child will say exactly how it happened. He's not going to mind sport. He's not going to try and cook a story that I know the child that I'm raising. We have values in the home, right? And those values are upheld by every single one of us. So I said, exactly what happened. Tell me exactly. I will investigate and I'll get back to you. So why did you call me? To tell me that my child was bullying another child without investigating. And so eventually she comes back to say, we found out, we realized that it was the other child that first of all beat your son. And then after beating him 2 times that your son now hits him back. It's just that his own hit was harder. Yes, it has to be harder. Is there any beatometer to measure the degree of beating? When you beat somebody the first time, the person did not react. You beat the person the second time, the person did not react. After the second time, the person now reacts, and then the person's use of force is stronger than your and your own 2 attempts combined. You know definitely that you called for it, you deserved it. Next time, you will not attempt to hit that person again because you know that by the time the person is coming back at you, the force will be greater than whatever it is that you had done before. So that was how we raised our son to say, hey, follow due process. But after due process, young man, defend yourself. Stand up to the bully and defend yourself. That there's no proportion again at some point. It's not to say that the person just did like this. The person did like this, and because the person just did like this, then I'm just going to do like this. No, the person did like this 2 times, and you feel the way you should stand up is by doing like this. Please. And that's how my son got over bullying. When he got to his new school, nobody has attempted to bully him in school. They know that. In fact, he's the one who stands up to the bullies in his class. When a child is bullying another child, this is the young man who stands up to the bully in the class and stops them from bullying the child. I mean, he came home to tell us a story about, we're running out of time. He came home to tell us a story about, I think, a child that another child took that child's pencil. And the defender of the universe went to the bully, collected the pencil, took it back to the child that owned the pencil, told the child sorry, and went back to his seat. And guess what? The child that was bullying the other child never went back for the pencil because the defender is there. So if you're ever going to send your child to boarding school, particularly those who love boarding school, oh, you went to boarding school and you had a great time. Oh, boarding school toughened you. Boarding school made you, tough, helped you to face life's rigors and difficulties. I salute you. I went to a boarding school as well. But I tell you what, children are different, right? And emotional backbone of children differ, right? So a child's emotional backbone is different from that of another child. And that's why You cannot think about your child in the light of your own childhood. They're different. But if you know you want to send your child to boarding school, please, you need to intentionally deploy a 3-year program, a 3-year curriculum. Put that child through a 3-year curriculum. If you need help with it, I'm happy to help you with it. We're happy to help you with it. This is what we do at ManityHQ. A 3-year curriculum that will train the child and prepare the